Okay, welcome back, guys. I'm going to go ahead and get right into the stock market technical analysis. We'll go ahead and look at the broad markets. We'll look at some individual trade ideas, and we'll go ahead and wrap up. I'm going to move rather quickly through the broad markets. It's not a whole lot of change, so I'll kind of point out what I'm looking for, what's potentially going to happen, and then we'll just move on. We'll do kind of a stock blitz. Let's go ahead and get rid of this. Sorry, guys. Had to restart my computer to get my recording software to run. So, okay, NASDAQ. This is NASDAQ futures. Biggest thing that I see, I'm looking at the daily chart here. The only thing I'm really keeping an eye on, we have the uptrend line right here. Okay, we broke trend and we are just trading underneath with the potential to backtest. Okay, so a backtest would be a pop up into the trend line that would make a marginal new high above those former highs. And if it does that and pops up into the trend line, you're going to just extend that divergence. It'll look something like this, where we still have negative divergence. We're backtesting the trend line from resistance, and it will be objective to short. Now, keep in mind, anybody who's, a lot of the trolls, they'll be foaming at the mouth bullish because we'll be at new highs in the tech sector, but we will be trading at new highs with the negative divergence right at key resistance, very objective level to short at. All right, so that's one thing to take note of. All right, so that's one possible outcome. I honestly don't have a super strong read on whether we're going to get this outcome or not. We might just roll over here. So we'll go ahead and look at the triple Qs. On the triple Qs, so the main thing I'm looking at on this one, daily chart, this is going back to your January 2023 lows. Support, 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 and we're above trend. Okay, so in that situation, above trend, we have negative divergence, so we have a bearish setup, but we don't have a catalyst. We don't have a sell signal. We have nothing that actually tells us that it's time to potentially short. Now, the trend line is obviously key. All right, that trend line support right there. A break of that trend line would be that major sell signal we'll be looking for. Whether we get it now or if the futures is going to go on and do that back test, then triple Qs is probably going to rally up and put in a marginal new high, a divergent high. All right, popping up to about 387 or so. And if that happens, you'll just extend the divergence. It'll look something like that. So that's a possibility. All right, and that at the end of the day, we're kind of right here in the middle. Support's down here. And then this isn't necessarily resistance up here, but it would be divergence if it happens soon, where it would very likely get sold into. So that is one area that you could maybe look at. And we'll watch the futures. That would be an indication of maybe where it would reverse at. And then at that point, after you put in that divergence, you're likely going to come down to the trend line and break it. Okay. At the end of the day, a break of the trend line is, it's not an all-in short until you can get that break of the trend line and really indicate a major sell signal. So that's it on that one. Let's look at Apple being the key component. Apple, you've got the bearish rising wedge. You did break down. You did hit the major target of the wedge. Rallied up to almost fill the gap right here, but the seller stepped in early. Boom, smashing it down. So, they could be starting the beginning of an uptrend. I'm not so sure, though. To me, it seems like this is likely going to probably chop around maybe a little bit and then ultimately break down. So that's what we're looking for there. Again, triple Qs and the futures, those are going to be more of our guide. And then some of these other, Amazon's interesting. Here's Amazon. If I roll out, this is a daily chart. You've got a decent amount of reactions at this level at about 143.70. All right, there's reactions there. There's one. Kind of chopped through there, but again, hit that as resistance. And you hit it again, and here's where it is right there. We hit that yesterday, and today's selling down, so it makes sense. You're at resistance. So a breakout above that would be bullish technically, but the only thing is, if it happens anytime soon, you're going to have divergence. So a breakout would likely fail. So we'll see. And then otherwise, if it continues to get rejected here, then I think you can come down to this trend line down here. This is kind of your longer term. This is your bull trend for the year. So I believe somewhere down there would be a spot. Google, this one, bearish rising wedge on the daily chart. Pretty well-defined wedge. Negative divergence has been building, and we're just kind of at the top of the wedge. You need to see a breakdown to trigger that sell signal, a breakdown of the wedge. And we don't have that yet. All right, so we're just kind of waiting for that sell signal as well. Semiconductors, SOXX, if I can type it in right. The semiconductors is, you've got a bull trend. This is starting back in October of 2022. Support, 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 and closing right on support. So no sell signal there either. Now you do have negative divergence. This is coming off a daily negative divergence, which I think is likely going to set us up for a breakdown. But do we bounce here before the breakdown? There's no telling. You know, I don't have, you know, at the end of the day, I don't know where this is going tomorrow. I just know that there's high probability that this is going to break the trend, and we're just looking for it. We're just waiting for it. Whether it bounces again and then breaks, or whether it just breaks, you know, I don't know. So we just, when we see it, we act. And that's that one. And then Tesla's a little interesting. Tesla, they pumped Tesla yesterday on just some earnings. Analyst, you know, just kind of an analyst pump. The biggest thing on Tesla I'm looking at in the daily is this downtrend. Tesla's been in a bear market, and I believe it's still in that bear market. You can see here, this is the highs of November of 2021. Resistance, 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 resistance. So, I mean, we're right in the middle here. This is kind of support down here. Support. There's your bull trend for the year. So, yeah, I think they can run up and hit that. I don't know which way it's going to go. 50-50. It could pop up, could drop down. All I know is this is major resistance. This is a key area where I'd be interested in shorting. This is major support. If you want to go long, you could go long there. Otherwise, a break of that support, I'd want to short. All right. And this one did have negative divergence back here. This former high had negative divergence. And we did get a decent pull back off of that divergence there, about 28%. Sorry, guys, had to boot my golden retriever out. He was coming in panting on the video. All right, so we've got, yeah, that's all I see, basically. We're just in the middle of support and resistance. So we just have to wait for it to break one way or the other. All right, and I don't necessarily have an opinion because we're in between both levels. Wheat. All right, so still looks like a good long bullish setup. I do like it, although it has been selling down. Again, these things you have to kind of build a position. You don't just load up on your whole position on one entry point and just wait for it to and then expect you're going to be right the moment that you go long. This one, you have a big bullish falling wedge, all right? That's been in play for a long time. This wheat was in a bull trend, had a blow off top here, and then corrected, all right? That correction looks like it's done with, all right? And so you had this bullish falling wedge, you break out, you back test, all right? That's support. Run back up to the 200. That run up did have negative divergence here, so we did get the pullback here. Down to another back test of the trend line. So it's big support right in this area. Just basically right where we're at today, yesterday is decent support. So I like it here. I think it's good. I've already got enough of this position, so I don't really need to be adding anymore. But I think it's going to hold and should rally. Where does it rally to? Well, the major target of this bullish falling wedge, you take the widest part of the wedge, which I can make is right about there. Okay, and the widest part of this wedge, you take it at the breakout point, which is here. We broke out again right there. Let me just kind of line that up. Yep, right in there. And that sets this breakout for a run up, the major target to about $8. $8.95 is what the major target's telling me. So that's where I think this is heading. All right, and I think you'll probably have a little bit of reaction here. I think you run up. Maybe a little reaction here, probably hit this one. I think you'll probably get some sort of a pullback again, and then ultimately run up. There's $8 is resistance, and then again the major target is about that $8.95. So you probably get a little pullback there, and then hit the major target, and that's how I think this is going to play out. So we're looking at, if this does work out, we're looking at about, to that major target, about a 54% gain. So I think that's in the cards for the next move up. And you want to look at the futures too. I think it's important. You can see on the futures when I look at the daily, I've got a zone of support. I pointed this out to the private member group. Again, if you're not in the private member group, you're interested in getting kind of additional trade ideas, additional market commentary. You know, I'm in there posting stuff almost every day. So when I'm not posting videos to the public channel, I'm still posting to the private member group. All right, look, you've got lots of reactions here. Resistance, resistance, resistance. This was a big zone of resistance for many years, 2014 to about 2020, about 6 years. So you've got huge, that was major resistance, and it should now be major support. All right, and as you can see, if I zoom in to kind of where we're at, and I did adjust my trend line slightly. I think I had it maybe about right in here or something. Again, I just, you know, we're talking about a couple of pennies. I think this is a zone of support, anywhere right in here from about 585 down to about 573.50 on the futures. And today you can see we hit that level and bounced. So I am looking for this to hold, and I think it will. So we'll continue to look for that. Also the PPO, you can see if it starts to turn up, then this will be a divergent low. It's a divergent low right now. It's just not confirmed. We need to see the PPO start to turn up to help confirm that. RSI has already started to turn up, so I like it. I like it long in this area. No guarantees it works out, of course. Interest rates, TNX. This is this is one of the major charts I'm watching because this is obviously going to have a major impact on the markets. So this is your 10-year interest rate. A lot of debt instruments, credit card rates, auto loans, you know, a lot of loans are based off the 10-year treasury rate. And you'll see here, you've got, this is your bull trend, support, 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 support. You can see we hit support, hit it again, and we're holding that bullish trend. I don't see any real negative divergence. I see just kind of bullish momentum where we're just keep going up on the momentum. So there's still momentum there. And bullish trend, bullish momentum tells me that rates are going up. And if rates continue to go up, that's going to put pressure on the stock market. So as of right now, who knows, in the short term, we could pop. We popped this level right here, about 4.33%. That's your former high right there. All right. And we hit it once, hit it twice. You pop it to make a new cycle high. I think the market's going to take notice. So that could happen, or we could come down to the trend line and bounce again. I still think, regardless, we're probably going to pop that, at least in the short term. I think we pop up, run up, rates start to put tons of pressure on the market. The market starts to panic and freak out. They start selling tech stocks, start selling stocks, and they start buying bonds at that high interest rate. All right. And as they're buying those bonds, locking in that high interest rate, the more and more people buying is going to put pressure on it's going to put a top in the bond, in the interest rates, and it's going to start to sell down as the market's selling down. Okay, so that's just one theory, and I think if that happens, I think gold could run. Okay, I'm really looking at it, and I'm seeing signs that potentially, if the rates, I still think you can spike, and that's probably going to put short-term pressure on gold and gold miners if it spikes. But then if you do see people buying bonds and bonds starting to sell off and break this trend, we have some sort of a correction in interest rates. That's going to be bullish for gold. So let's flip over to gold. The one chart that I'm, like Newmont looks interesting to me. I've got this bullish falling wedge here. I've got bullish divergence on the momentum, looking good. And, we need a catalyst. We need some sort of a breakout to signal that, this one's going to run. And if this one runs, GDX and the rest of the miners are going to run too. This is your largest miner. When I go over to GDX, I don't have the same pattern. Maybe if I draw this out, I guess I could probably mark that out right there, like a bullish falling wedge, something like that. And this one I'm going to have to just kind of adjust like that. So it's not quite as clean as Newmont, but I'd say something like that. I don't quite have the bullish divergence there on the PPO. I do have it on the RSI, so just not quite as clean. MGM, I pointed this out as a potential trade idea today to the private member group, but it's really still a little bit more of a trade setup, not quite an actionable trade idea. I did start to nibble on it myself, just trying to front run a potential breakdown, but nothing big because it could bounce here. Let me kind of explain what we got going on this one. So MGM daily chart, you've got support, support, support. And that's what I've got right now. And then I think, this down in here is going to be support. You're at basically at the 200-day moving average. There's horizontal support right in here. So I think you're at kind of a confluence of support on MGM. So no sell signal for sure. You do have, when I look at the daily chart, it's just slightly not divergent, a divergent high right there on the daily. It's close enough where I think you could probably count it. And the, not the fibs, but let me grab that one. And right there. So again, maybe a little more work to do. All right. But a break of this trend line is going to be the sell signal. So I think you really need to take out all this, kind of take out this confluence of support, put in a nice red candle, break, and that would be your sell signal. One reason why I think it's going to happen probably sooner rather than later, when I look at some of the competitors, such as like Wynn. MGM is a gambling stock, a Vegas gambling stock basically. And they have places in China too. When I look at Wynn, I've got a clear downtrend line in Wynn. Resistance, 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 resistance. And we're just up near the top, but we're holding that resistance. We have negative divergence on that one. So again, to me, it looks like this is, continuing the downtrend. When I look at LVS, Las Vegas Sands, another Vegas one, again, you can see negative divergence, boom, big divergence there. And it's selling off. I mean, it's continuing to really trade down, where MGM's kind of going in the opposite or slightly in the opposite. So, yeah, I think there's probably a game of catch up to be played on MGM to the downside. Again, nothing that's super actionable yet. We'll just watch those trend lines. Okay, here's a potential trade idea. EMR, it's part of an industrial, it's an industrial stock. Biggest thing on the daily chart, support, support, support. You can see we're basically just we've gone almost parabolic. I mean, it's just straight up. The momentum's starting to fade on this one. Just starting to show up with some negative divergence here on the RSI and the PPO. So maybe this has some more to go. Biggest thing to look for is a break of the trend line. Break the trend line, you're likely going to come fill this gap here and then probably going to hit the 200-day moving average as well. That's really the trade idea. So depending on when you break, you might have a 7, 8 down to about a 10% drop, probably pretty quickly over a couple days. So there's a trade setup. And PHM, Pulte Homes, this one we've been talking about for a while. Again, you have a clear upward channel there on the daily chart. Obvious negative divergence building for a while. So you wait for the sell signal, which came back here on August 17th. Sell signal. And then since then, it's been chopping around, just kind of building a top. Just like things sometimes will take time to build a bottom, same to build a top. And so, you hit the first level of support, buyer step in. Sellers smash it back down, buyer step back in. Today, sellers smash it back down. So again, it's choppy. We need to take out those recent lows right in there, probably somewhere right about 77. We'll do the trick and set this up for the next wave of selling to the downside. So I'll be adding to a short trade on this one when we take out those lows. And GE looks very similar as this one. You've got a clear upward price channel, bearish rising wedge, broke trend here. Buyers is clear breakdown. Buyer step in, seller smash it down, buyer step in. Today we hit the top here of this kind of resistance area and seller stepped in. So probably going to see some more selling. And we need to take out those recent lows to usher in the next wave of selling. Otherwise, we're just kind of building a chop, kind of a choppy top, I guess. And so we'll see how that goes. Another trade setup, ELF, household personal care. I'm not sure what they do, but we have negative divergence building on the daily. We have a clear uptrend line, support, 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 support. And we don't have a break of trend, so no sell signal, but we definitely have a bearish setup. So this can continue until it doesn't. I wouldn't be interested in putting, new money to work if you're not long this already, because the divergence is building. So it's likely sooner rather than later it's going to break down. So the risk is to the downside. I think we're going to break. We just need that breakdown and sell signal. All right, break of trend, and this should usher in a wave of selling. You got some gaps to fill, so you're probably going to come, maybe a minor reaction here, but I think very least, you're going to come fill this gap down here at 87. And I think you probably come down and fill this other gap all the way down here as well. This thing left several gaps. So there's another, pullback 59 or so, 58.50, somewhere right in there. So keep an eye on that one as a potential short setup. Okay, that's several trade ideas. So I guess I'm going to wrap up. Most of my trade ideas are short just because I'm looking for that next pullback I see with the divergences building. But if you are bullish, because I know several of you are, then you buy at support. And SOXX Semiconductors at support right now. You do have negative divergence, but again, it's at support. So if you're bullish, that's your play. And same with triple Qs, kind of in the middle of the zone right now. I don't think it's really at support, but down here a little lower could be at support. You don't have to take the short setups that I give you. I mean, obviously a lot of those aren't actionable yet, but they are setups. And you can always do the opposite if you're bullish. So try that if everybody can do what they can do or what they want to do. All right, guys, I'm going to wrap up. Drop me a thumbs up. Check out my stock market technical analysis course. If you're interested in learning this as a skill set, join the private member group. Link in the description below for both of those. Catch you guys on the next one.